welcome to another edition of Mental Health Mondays. I am, of course, Myndrunner, and this is a very special episode for me, one of my favorite people. And my guest is, and now, she is the reigning Immortal Championship Wrestling Champion and will celebrate 1 year of her reign on March 19th. She's a former CCW champion until she was robbed by Vita Von Star in a best of 2 of 3 falls match. She's currently undefeated in 2023 singles competition and ranked the top 150 female wrestlers of PWI. Made history for being the first wrestler to be featured both AEW and WWE in the same night. From Schenectady, New York, has wrestled all up and down the East Coast, but is yet to wrestle in North Carolina. The most positive wrestler in all independent wrestling circuits. She is an inspiration. She is the Spice Ranger, Kayla Sparks.
I love that. Wow, what an intro. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, I'm so excited.
I make no promises about marking out during this chat. Your music is unstoppable. I can't stop.
I love
I'm
that.
so excited.
Girls.
So excited to have you here. I wanted to chat with you because your positivity is truly inspirational. I've been, you and I have been chatting back and forth on Twitter. Yeah, your fan base is tremendous, and you are possibly one of the most positive professional wrestlers out there. Maybe Willow Nightingale could be competing with you for most positive force. Possibly Alex Gracia, but maybe she's just the pink positivity. I'm not sure. But Kayla, thanks for joining, and thank you so much for being an inspiration, for being somebody out there living her dream. So excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you so much for all the kind, positive words. I love that. And, it's rare to have like positive, genuine people in the world. So I figure, always be kind to everybody. It makes the world a better place,
It does, definitely, especially online. I mean,
yeah.
Let's be honest. My grandfather always used to tell me it's the emptiest cans that make the most noise. So you might get 1,000 compliments on the internet, but then you get that 3 or 4 like, you suck. Yeah. And that's what sticks. And you're like, well, I don't suck. Let me tell you what. Yeah. But you've been continuously being positive. I used to joke that, like, your relationship with the Renegade Twins, you're kind of like their balance.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're like, what was it, the meme where, is it from Parks and Rec, where, what's her, with April, and she's like, someone's going to die, and you're like, oh, fun!
Yeah.
So you've been a wrestler. This is like, in fact, I wanted to play a clip before we start talking, something you shared on Twitter that I just thought was fantastic, because this is for people that, like, maybe they're feeling like they're going to give up on their dream. Here is 2003 Kayla Sparks. I thought this was tremendous.
Oh yeah.
This is and we'll hopefully we won't get sued by Dalton Castle for this, but
oh no, yeah.
That
was a throwback. Check it out. 2003. If you see, Dalton Castle was the referee in the match there.
Oh, really? Okay.
With the blonde hair in the back. Let's see if you see, but yeah.
Well, here comes a 2003 Kayla Sparks.
Yes.
Coming through. Look at that. They already got the dry ice smoke, all the effects.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, I love that.
And the Gwen Stefani music, yes.
Yeah.
What does it say on your shirt?
So I had a shirt made back then, back in like when it was the Diva Search area. I had a shirt that said Kayla keeping it real. Because I felt, at the time I was like, women's wrestling wasn't as respected as it is now today. Back then it was really tough, try to be taken seriously as a female wrestler in the business. So that was my thing, was like keeping it real, but yeah.
I think that one guy you just dumped over the rope is now realizing that women's wrestling's for real.
Oh yeah. I was the only female student at the time, so that's all I was trained, by the guys there, and I channeled I always say my inner China, because she was my inspiration. And so being the only female wrestler in the school there was a big deal for me. So
And who's this scumbag that's trying to shake your hand? And he's such a heel. We know. Oh, boo!
Yeah, that was crazy. That was the first Royal Rumble that they had there, and I was the second, participant. It gave me, like I was just mentioning, China, was the first female ever to be in WWE, the Royal Rumble in 1999. So that was huge, and that was a big deal for me back then.
That's cool. Yeah. And again, like China was the first, and you were the first wrestler to be featured both on WWE and AEW. And again, there were certain people, some people named Myndrunner geeking out about that myself. But that's so cool. And now I know you touched on how women's wrestling used to really not be taken seriously, and it's such a shame because you have greats like the Fabulous Moolah, you have Mae Young. I was a big Glow fan when I was a little kid. When I was a little shredder, I loved Matilda the Hun. Mm-hmm. She was a great heel because she would literally try to make kids cry, and she'd bring like a piece of raw meat. But I mean, you knew she was a heel, like she was playing. You knew she was playing that character.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel? How has women's wrestling become so much more widespread positive? What do you think started that, and do you feel like we're kind of in that women's wrestling renaissance now?
Yeah, I mean, it's just come a long way, and I'm so proud to now be a part of that. And back then, we really struggled. There were so many great women, like I mentioned, China, up and coming in the Attitude Era. There was Trish, there was Lita, all those girls, Molly Holly, that I looked up to, that were really trying to pave the way, and they did. And I'm happy now that years later, with the likes of Becky Lynch, and I could go on, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, all of them. It's just a great time now to be a women's wrestler, definitely.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. And I think just watching women's wrestling itself, like CCW seems to be a women's wrestling major promotion. Obviously, Mission Pro. I don't know if you've heard of Mission Pro before. But,
I've been there a few times.
Yeah, a couple times. Somebody named Thunder Rosa involved with that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's things have really come far, and you touched on three very unique personalities: China, Trish, and Lita. And they kind of, what I love about Trish Stratus is she started out. She kind of came, literally she was the manager for a group called TNA.
TNA, yep.
And back then, TNA was kind of the Vince joke.
Right.
And I'm not saying that there's not a place for bra and panty matches, because, I think it's good for women to embrace their sexuality if they choose to. But then Lita comes out, and she's boom, 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 and Trish becomes much more of a dominant wrestler, and then it started really becoming matches, and then you likes of Paige, and now we're in a spot where women are stealing the show.
Yeah, for sure.
My wife and I were at a match, an independent show in North Carolina, and it was funny how there was only one women's match, but the women's match stole the show. They were doing stuff. They were making the guys look bad. Like the guys in the back row peeking around, going man, we gotta step up. What? Yeah. She's off the top rope. We got. What are we gonna do here?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. What's your philosophy for staying so positive, and especially when there seems to be so much negativity out there?
Yeah, like you said, there's just so much negativity out there, and I just always, since I was a kid, I was always the one that was always smiling. Just I feel like, I know it's cliche to say, but they say happiness is a choice. So it takes a lot for someone, you go through all the struggles and stuff, growing up. For me, I was bullied a lot in school, so I struggled a lot with that, and my appearance, because I was kind of a tomboy because I liked wrestling, and being made fun of back then, and just embracing that as I got older in my teen years and early adulthood. I just embraced that, what makes you is unique, and there's no one else but you. So it just always be proud of who you are, and just I always try to embrace that. Growing up, China was my influence, a big, huge influence for me, because she just always embraced who she was. Yes. She wasn't afraid, to be who she was, and that just really stuck out for me growing up. And just, I always just try to always look at the positive side of things, because life's too short to always just, try and look at the negative out of it. Like I always try to, like, if there's a situation, I always try to like look at it, even if it is a negative or a bad experience, I always just try to look at it as a learning experience. What did I learn from this, and how can I grow, to be better and make others around me better? That's what I always try to do. So I know it's hard, but as I got older, it's just always been, try to look at things more positively. And it works out, like you were mentioning before about the manifesting and stuff like that. I know it's like the thing now, like you manifesting, but I really think it's like, you follow up with actions. Like you really have to believe, like if something that you really want, and just put it out in the universe, or, just always try to just go for it, no matter what it is. Even if you fail, or, you try at something, at least you tried it. That's how I always look at life and just in general.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The manifestation thing too, and kind of also that self voice that you hear. Yeah. I think that words definitely have power. And like something that I fight with, even today, I'm thinking like, oh, I don't want to mess up this interview with Kayla. I don't want to, but like you get that imposter syndrome. You get those voices like, and if you stop and you twist it around, like, no, this is going to be fun. This is when you're favorite wrestlers. You're going to have a great time. Yeah. And you have to change that voice in you, and like manifestation, I know there's all kinds of different philosophies and beliefs about manifestation, but I do feel at the core, just mentally putting your mind to it, putting it out there, it paints a target. It actually makes it real for you in your head. And you, like, positivity can be a habit, just like other habits. You can develop that positivity and really, and like you also said, lift other people up. And learn for those trips. And I think that's tremendous. It's like, it's not easy to do. No. And it's a constant struggle, but I feel like if maybe you'd agree that things turn out so much better when you have that philosophy.
Yeah, for sure. And like you were saying, like a lot, what helped me too was like reading self-help books or listening to podcasts. There's a lot of like life coaches out there now, all these podcasts that are available. And those really helped me a lot too. Like one of the things that stuck out to me was just being kind to yourself, because like you were saying, the voices in your head, you can be really you're your biggest critic. That's how I feel too. Like with me, like I struggle with that a lot still, but I always just try to, like you said, turn it around, try to be kind to yourself, like you would be kind to somebody else, So that's what I always try to do, is just whenever I'm having a bad day or I'm just thinking negatively, like try to just say to myself, be kind to yourself, and just always try to like, think positive when you're in a rut. Absolutely.
We're all human. And I think I think one thing we have to do is cut ourselves a lot of slack. Yeah. We're trying, and again, it's nothing, we're not always going to be perfect, and we're going to have grumpy days. Good Lord. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to do this. But I do think it's important to cut ourselves some slack, and
for sure.
Yeah, I'm an educator, and I would teach my students that you got to celebrate your victories. I would always do this thing where I'd write 10 problems on the board, and 9 of them are correct, and I'd do like 4 plus 5 equals 10. And then they all go, Mr. Bernier, you got that one wrong. And I said, why are we focusing on the one that I got wrong and not the 9 that I got correct? And we go through this whole conversation. And I think it's important. You got to celebrate your victories, and it really try to shift your mindset to that. You said something earlier about, if you got to choose to have a good day, or choose to be positive, and then things work out that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's tremendous. And I notice also that things start to work out a little bit better when you have that like things start happening. Yeah. And you start to, it's almost like a snowball effect. You get out of it, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to start doing this podcast, and now here I am talking to Kayla Sparks. I'm like, all right, these are going.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You did take a break from wrestling for a while.
Yeah.
And then came back. Now, I definitely want to highlight the comeback, because that to me, I think, is tangible testament to never giving up on your dreams, because you know, here you are, it's 2023, you're undefeated in singles competition. And I do think the sky's the limit, and look how far you've come. If you don't mind getting into it, and you know, as much little or as lot, what made you step away?
So it was back in 2007, I believe. I just turned 19. At the time, I was wrestling for like 6 years, and I was having the time of my life. You know, I started at 13. I worked my way around the independents back then, around the Northeast. Was super excited, you know, to be chasing after my dream, and did so many things. And then, you know, fortunately, things happened, and I got a second concussion when I was like, I just turned 19, and that sucked. And I remember the night, you know, in the match, you know, as a lot of wrestlers say, you just keep going on with the match if you can. You know, that's like always what we're like trained, you know, in our mind to do. Is like, the show must go on.
Show must go on, Bring it home.
And I just remember I blacked out for a couple seconds in the match. It was no one's fault. Like, things happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, after when I got in the locker room, I remember the girls were like, oh my God, I didn't even know you know, because you want to, you know, make sure like you continue with the match. And I was like, I ended up, you know, blacking out for a couple seconds. And then I couldn't lift my head for like a few hours. And I just remember being really nauseous and throwing up in the back. And then
yikes.
It ended up, you know, my mom was with me at the time in the crowd, and I was still in my gear. I couldn't even like get changed. And she's like, we need to go to the ER. So, that was, that moment.
That's good that you got to go to the ER, and that's kind of, isn't that kind of the cusp of when CTE was really becoming a thing? I mean, like,
I don't know, it was 2007. I don't know if probably I would say around that time.
That's about when people started noticing that it was a real thing. I mean, I'm with you too. I always remember my football days, my high school football days, because that's as far as I went. But you know, we were always like, "Oh, tough it up," and I tore my shoulder up one time because I watched Lethal Weapon, you know, and I know that, you know, Mel Gibson does this thing where he pops his shoulder out of joint. So in a game, and I'm tackling the guy, and this other guy hits me, and I pop my shoulder out of joint, and my arm just completely goes numb, and it's just hanging there. But I don't want to get out of the game. You know, so I just said, all right, well, I'm just going to hit the guy as hard as I can with my shoulder on the next play. And sure enough, boom, I hear pop, and I'm great. I feel great. The game, everything goes fine. I wake up the next day, I cannot move my arm. And that's when I found out I tore like a thing. And I at the time was getting ready to start indoor track and do shot put. And my first time throwing the shot put, I felt like my arm was going to go with it. I was done. But that's I'm glad that has changed, and I see that not just in professional wrestling, but in all sports, that there's much more focus on health and you know, that whole thing of suck it up and finish the game. It's like, but at what cost? I mean, I can only imagine what would happen to some folks if they didn't take care of themselves. So that this takes you out, and what kind of conversation is that?
I always wanted to come back to it. Like, there were times where, you know, like, especially when the women's wrestling was coming back, like with the pay-per-view Evolution, I was like, man, I wish we could get back there. And, you know, that was always, I never stopped watching wrestling. I was always a huge fan. So even though I was out for 14 years, I just, you know, what prompted me to like make the comeback is, you know, my life, you know, my personal life. I was struggling, you know, with my 8-year relationship just ended. I was planning to get married, and that all, you know, that all ended. And then I ended up just starting over. So I sold my house. I started over, and I was like, you know, going back to your roots. What's the one thing that always made you happy? And that was always wrestling for me. So I said, let me give this another shot and see where it goes. And I never would have dreamt in a million years that everything that's happened up until now would happen. I just, you know, I went back to training, you know, with Chip Stetson. He was my original trainer. I call him my wrestling dad, just because he's always he's pretty much he raised me, watched me grow up in wrestling. He was my trainer, so I have so much respect for him and love. And he's my biggest supporter now, and he's still wrestling too. So that was a huge, like, for my comeback. I ended up, you know, training back again with Chip, and you know, from there, what was it? July 2021 was
Mm-hmm.
my first match back. And I remember just being so excited that day. And I was on my way to Beyond Wrestling for my show. And I remember on the way there, my first ever, like car accident happened. I never got into a car accident before that or after, of course, on my way to my first wrestling match back, and I was just so excited. And I remember just having that adrenaline rush, like when the person hit me and I almost died. I'm just like thinking, oh my God, please, let me get to my match so that I can, other people probably be like, when I actually was funny is I ended up getting to the show that night, and, everyone was so concerned. It was really nice that, there's support from all the wrestlers and the promoter. And he was like, if that was me, I would have just went back home, said the heck with, my match.
No.
Yeah.
I can see you like telling like the ambulance pulls up and they're like this. All right, we're gonna take you to the hospital. No. You need to take me to the arena because
as long as I can walk, I'm fine. Just a little roughed up, and my car, and your car you can fix and stuff. So that I was just happy that everyone was okay after that. And the police officer that was doing the accident report, he made me laugh because I said the same thing. I'm like, is my car okay to drive to the show? I'm only like an hour away. And he's like, oh my God, you're a wrestler? He's like, I'm a huge fan of wrestling. And then what was funny was like, hey, do you mind giving me your autograph before your match, just in case one day, you never know. And I just laughed at that because I thought it was funny, like how ironic the officer was a fan.
Well, officer, wherever you are, hang on to that autograph. My goodness, you got the autograph before the big comeback.
Yeah,
but that's kind of cool too, and a little bit of how I know that sometimes the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, that can be we hear a lot of the trolls. But there's a lot of positive people on there. You get groups like WrestleJoy, the Nimities. You've got a lot of, the Dynamite Download guys. There's all these different groups that are very positive, and the community itself is very positive. I know the locker rooms, I've noticed, like, talking with folks, that there's a big push now for positivity in the locker rooms and lifting each other up. Like, it's not as cutthroat as it used to be. I hear, you hear from the likes of like Chris Jericho, who, who's now like an AW. It's a much more support. How can we help each other? And you had mentioned about lifting each other up. And do you see that now? I mean, in the locker rooms that you go to a lot more?
Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying, like we're all here on the same show, so we want to like lift up each other, and you see that a lot in the locker room. Like you mentioned, like Chris Jericho, he's amazing. I looked up to him since I was a kid, and he's awesome. I love Chris Jericho, but he's right. I mean, we're all here to put on a great show. We're all here to entertain the fans, put on the best show possible, and be safe, and put on some great matches. So like you always see the guys and girls like give feedback on each other's matches, or they'll always see each other's watching each other's match and just give some pointers or tips on how to get better. And that's what it's all about. I see that everywhere, WWE, everywhere, locker room. So I'm glad that, it's leading more into the positive direction, which it should be.
I'm starting to see that, and I'm hoping that translates even beyond just wrestling, like in any workforce. As a teacher, we have really rough days, and we would have. There's so much. The demands on teachers now are incredible, but you can get, when you're very stressed, you can get cutthroat, and to stop that and to remember, hey, we're all in this together. To have that, create that support network is so important. And it's like you said, it's kind of like, was it lifts all boats or something? High tide lifts all boats, or I don't know the saying, but essentially, you know what I mean. We all lift each other up together. Right. And I think I also think it's interesting, like, in a way, things happen for a reason, whether, regardless of your religion, or if there's like some divine force, whatever, it seems like things line up. And it's interesting that after your breakup with your relationship, it's like, all right, where am I going? And it was what gives me joy? Boom. And here you are. Yeah. And you weren't even going to let that car accident stop you. In fact, if anything, the accident reinforced your passion for wrestling, because it's like, what were you thinking about? You weren't thinking about, the insurance, what I got to do. You're like, I'm getting in the ring.
Right, yeah. If I said, like, definitely like that. Sorry, my phone just rang.
It's all good.
Yeah, like you were saying, it just reinforced everything for me as like, because everything, like your life flashes before your eyes when you go through something like that. So, and like you said, yeah, wrestling was the first thing that I was thinking of. And sometimes you just need to, like, in life, like, refocus and
Hmm.
just get back to like your roots and like really dig deep inside and see like what makes me happy. And that's what we should always strive to do, is just find something that you're really passionate about. And then, just, as cliche as it sounds, just like if you have a dream, go for it. Because I mean, I'm living proof that, dreams are never too far to reach. I started wrestling when I was 13 in 2002, and here I am 20 plus years later, and
Yes.
just living the dream. So if anyone
Our,
watching this, is struggling or just, with themselves or
mhm.
just anything, just know that there's people that support you. And even if not, you always support yourself and just always like try to be positive and happy and just go for it, whatever it is you want to do.
We always stress on here, we are not professional doctors. I am not a
Yeah.
PhD,
Yeah.
but we're all there is the school of the streets. I mean, we all are human. The
Yeah.
human experience is something that I think we forget we all have in common. I mean, I think a lot of times society focuses on the differences
Hmm.
versus the similarities.
Hmm.
Something, in fact, recently this came to light with this thing with TikTok. One of the struggles I've had with my students, and I see
Hmm.
this with adults, is comparing themselves to other people. And I
Yeah.
always try to say, just compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Right.
Don't think about like, okay, like, well, Billy got 100% on this test. I
Yeah.
only got 90%. Billy's
Right.
smarter than me. No,
Right.
you got 90%, and last week you got 80%. You're rocking it. You got to celebrate those
Exactly.
victories.
Yeah.
But now you've got stuff like, TikTok's got this new AI bold glamour filter that like
Okay.
takes your
Yeah.
face and turns you into like Brad Pitt or Angelina
Yeah.
Jolie.
I
And
think I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I just think about like that. Yeah, okay, that's neat. That's
Yeah.
kind of a cool gimmick, but
Right.
what kind of effect is that having on folks? And don't forget that the person without the filter
Yeah.
is beautiful and awesome.
Right.
And,
Right.
and just remembering that, and it's so hard to not want to compare yourself to others, but
Yeah.
it's if you can make that shift in your head of just, all right, here's where I am, here's where I want to be. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about all these other folks.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on some great points. I think like for me growing up, I'm glad that I didn't have social media because yeah, yeah, like you said, that's like for a kid nowadays, like I would just be like they're so consumed with their phones and like
Hmm.
just social media and like like you said, comparing themselves to other people. I mean, I even do it. I know there's other people that do it. It's
Yeah.
hard, but you just got to remind yourself that, like you said, just always try to focus on being better for yourself and not compare yourself to others because we're all on our own path. We're all on
Hmm.
our own journey. So somebody else's journey is different than yours, and that's okay. But like you said, you just always have to reward yourself on the accomplishments that you make every day. Like if there's a goal, every day there has to be like a new goal or something that you learn new every day. That's what I always try to remind myself. And that helps a lot with just try to focus on yourself and focus on just being a better person, being a better, human
Yes.
in
I,
general. So
I,
yeah.
and just to let you know, I'm on the old fat person weight loss
Oh
challenge.
geez.
This is my own personal thing,
Yeah.
but
No. Yeah.
it's like if I take a walk, if I walk and I make it around 4 times around the lake,
Yeah.
that's a victory for me.
Good. Yeah.
It's not. Granted, there's athletes out there that are just hustling,
Oh
doing
yeah.
like these
Yeah.
10-mile hikes. Not me.
Yeah.
I'm lucky
Yeah.
to make it around 3 times, but that fourth
I'm proud of
time,
you.
it's like
Yeah.
woohoo! I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you
With,
said, you just always gotta be like there's little things you do every day that just always gotta keep doing something little every day to get 1%, but try to always be better. And there's days where sometimes you don't feel like doing anything or you don't have the energy to do, and that's fine too. Like not every day is gonna be perfect or and just it's always that effort that you put in. Like for me, um
absolutely.
yeah, effort is always a good thing to do. And just yeah, as long as you try, it doesn't matter if you fail or how many times you fail. It's always good to try rather than not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You miss all of the swings you don't take, kind of thing.
Right.
You don't. But if you never know, you might take that one swing and knock it out of the park. Plus,
Yep.
just the fact that you try
Yeah.
is huge. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't days where hey, you know what, take some you time.
Yeah.
Treat yourself, pull the covers over your head, and just call it a day. You're going to have those days.
Yeah.
But if you can pull yourself out and go do it, you'll feel so much better. I like to say, like, especially like if I have to get up real early for something, I try to trick myself. Like, I try to get into the shower before my body knows what I'm doing.
Yeah,
it's like I'm already there. Oh, okay, I got to do it.
Exactly.
And it's like it's before you can start to self doubt, before that kicks in, you're already going. And one of the things I try to do is put your shoes on.
Yep.
If that's all you do today, put your shoes on. You've gotten that far. But once you get your shoes on, you're kind of like, well, all right, I'm going to go for that walk.
Yeah.
Because now, what are you going to do? Take the shoes off? It's kind of like you've already got that far. But another thing that it puzzles me, because I hear this a lot, but I wonder if this is just grumpy people reacting. But the concept of toxic positivity. Have you heard of that before? And like what are your thoughts on that?
I have, yeah. Like, I know what you mean. Like, especially on like social media and stuff. Like we were saying, like it's always good to try and like that's why I always try to be like realistic too. Like there's like you said, there's days where you don't feel good or 100%, and there's days where you feel really good. And like I definitely see that a lot, like the toxic positivity stuff, or just like I think it's good not to ignore that we are human and that there are going to be bad days, and that not every day is going to be 100%. Or like there's stuff too that I read, like where if you're not productive, it means you're not doing anything, or you're not, that's not always true. So but yeah, I know where you're coming from with that. And
well, maybe you're being productive in a different way. Like that self-care is productive.
Right.
Sometimes sitting down and just popping on Netflix and just relaxing. Because just like our physical bodies, our muscles, you gotta rest this muscle. Just like you can't do leg day every day.
Right.
But you can't skip leg day.
Right.
But you gotta sometimes have your cabeza take a break.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, the term toxic positivity, I've seen a lot of people say, like, well, you're just too positive about everything. Or, like, not just you specifically, but, like, in general people. And I wonder if the difference really is, like, realistic versus fake. Like, you are positive, but you're real with your positivity.
Yeah.
There are people, and I call it like this. I know you've seen, I call them lobotomized smiles. Yeah. Where you see people, they're smiling, but their eyes are like this big, like,
right, yeah.
You're a great wrestler.
Yeah. No,
and that's oh, come on. You're okay. I believe you. And it's that realistic thing, I think, is more important. If you realistically positive.
For sure. Like, and I think it's all too about balance too. Like, just, like you're going to have off days, you're going to have good days, but as long as like we were just touching on before, like if you just put effort in to always just try and like, just try to have a better day than you did before. And that's all we can do,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next for the Spice Ranger?
Oh, geez. Anything. I mean, I'm just keep chasing the dream. I'm just, just keep wrestling shows, and just, my goal hopefully, is to, my dream since I was a kid is to be in WWE one day. So, and I mean, I've already, if like this all ended tomorrow, I would still be happy and proud of myself that I was able to actually, step foot into WWE, step foot in the ring with, my biggest accomplishment was being in the ring with the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair and Asuka and Alexa Bliss. I mean, not everyone has that opportunity to do that on Raw. With them in the ring, the three best female wrestlers of all time, and just that for me is just still surreal, still a pinch me moment. So if everything just ended tomorrow, I'll still be happy. That's I think that's too important too. Like we always want to be better. We always want to like have goals, but like it's good to always like be present too, and just be happy with everything that you've done today. And then I feel like everything else is just a reward if you do get something like tomorrow or in the future. But for me, like being in the, like try to stay present and just, grateful. I think
Yes.
that, that's what I was going to touch on is like just that gratitude is like really
Yes.
helpful. Like a genuine, like you're grateful for anything that like comes your way or, doesn't, everything is just, it all molds into like what, your future will be, I guess.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like folks like Chris Van Vliet and among others, they really push the gratitude thing.
Yeah.
And I do think again there's that difference between the lobotomized smile gratitude versus realistic. If you're genuinely thankful for the stuff that you do have, I think it's funny where like I find people complaining that their Postmates hasn't arrived yet. And I'm kind of like, well, Postmates exists. That right. You're in a situation where you've got all this stuff going for you. Maybe not be so upset about that. But like, gratitude, I think also helps with mental health because you realize what you do have going for you, and for me it makes me feel better. Like I might want this to happen. But look what else I've got. And that kind of goes back to that celebrating your victories kind of thing.
For sure.
So, Kayla, hopefully I didn't mark out too much.
Oh my God, no, this was awesome. No, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. Like you said, thank you for mentioning that about the toxic positivity thing, because like you said, it's just, as long as you're like, just like, you're a genuine person and you want to like, do good, you want to see others. Because for me, like a lot of it too is like I want to be successful, but I get more happiness when I see my friends succeeding, and it's always good to support everyone and just always like keep that. I know it's hard, but to always try to find something that you're grateful for every day, and that helps definitely with mental health.
Fantastic. And of course you did get the Thunder Rosa rub when you came to Ada. I remember, she kind of like handpicks her faves and I think
I don't know if I'm her fave, but I'm super grateful. That's another one. Just Thunder Rosa she literally like opened the doors for me because when I was just getting back to wrestling, that was in summer of 2021, and Mission Pro reached out to me, and I was super honored to be on their show, and that was huge for me. And then, obviously like everything that happened with, AEW, the Arthur Ashe Stadium show, their first ever Grand Slam, that was huge. And I got to wrestle Thunder Rosa, and then being the first, opening match, and just in front of 20,000 people, that was huge for me. And I'm just always thankful to Thunder Rosa. She knows I always tell her just how grateful I am for her. And she's just such a amazing, genuine person. She's always like trying to help other people, which is important. Like we were saying before, like it's all about, if you have that experience or if you have the knowledge or anything that you can share or help someone else, or I always try to do that too. Like if there's opportunities, if you can help somebody else, it's always makes you feel good. So
that's great. And going for one of my favorite clips was the interview you and Alex Gracia did, where it's the middle, it's like clearly the Windy City, and the wind's blowing your hair, but the two of you are just still like, hey, we're gonna do this. They might as well have like a fan like right there blowing past you guys.
That was hilarious. It was super windy, and that was my first time in Chicago. That was huge. That was from Women's Wrestling Army. That's another one too, Maria. Huge. That's a huge opportunity. I love what she's doing. She's amazing too. She's just doing so much for women's wrestling and just trying to pay it forward, and she's doing a lot. And I hope that, like you said, like women's wrestling is it's like leaps and bounds from when I was wrestling back then. So I'm just super happy, grateful to be a part of it.
And who knows, you might be inspiring a young 13-year-old listening to this podcast or listening to an interview you do or watching a match, and they might be like, I'm going to be the next Kayla Sparks. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to be a Spice Ranger. And then, that'll be fantastic. Well, Kayla, this has been a treat, or to use an RJ City quote, this has been a romp.
I love that.
This has been awesome. I'll put all your social medias down here. Please follow Kayla Sparks 24/7, because she's 24/7. Kayla Sparks, she's the real deal. She is.
That came actually from the wrestling school I was at. Little fun fact: it was called 24/7 Wrestling. So I just always stuck with it. The 24/7.
I think it fits because you are 24/7 positive. You're 24/7. The Spice Girls are 2-4-7. Will there be the master student match against Chip at some point?
Actually, I mean, I've wrestled him before, but he had a mask on. It's on YouTube somewhere. I forget what his name was, but we actually used to do that too back in the day when when I was training there, and he put on a mask. The janitor or something he called himself. So it was funny, but yeah,
El Janitorio.
Yeah, Chip is awesome. I've had a few matches so far with him, and he's been great. But yeah, definitely Team Stetson all the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will list all your socials in here. Make sure you follow Kayla Sparks. Follow the journey. You never know where she'll pop up again. And congratulations, because I think we're 6 days away from a full year as the champion, as the immortal champion. Is anybody coming after that belt?
I mean, there's been a few names that have come, and I've had great matches with them, and we'll see.
Yeah, Kelsey Reagan recently, right?
Yeah, Kelsey Reagan. Yeah, she was great. She was my most recent match. Yeah, and like Trisha Dora, she was great.
Afro Punk.
Yes, yep, and just honored to be in the ring, share the ring with those talented women out there. But yeah, I put out an open challenge too, and we'll see who's coming up. Unfortunately, this month the show got canceled, but next month
it happens.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But no, I really appreciate. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everyone listening, and all the love and support means so much to me. So. Thank you.
All right, the Spice Ranger.
Yes.
Thank you have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful Mental Health Monday. Yes. And we'll see you again. I love this entrance music.
Yes, I love
it. We'd love to have you back on again,
Thank
Kayla.
You.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.